1800. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vermont Academy's 136th Commencement. Thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate it. I'm Taylor Henham, co-president of the class of 2020 with my friend and fellow co-president Evan Zorman. It has been a distinct honor and a true pleasure to be able to represent and hear from each and every member of our community. As a class, I can comfortably say we wouldn't be here today without the support of our family and friends. We are especially indebted to the hard works of Miss Friel, our class dean, Dr. Zakara, Miss Atkins and Miss McCardle in college counseling, and Mr. Ross and the cooking staff. This year has been far from normal. Graduation and senior spring are expected by most VA students. Like many others, I thought I would graduate on the South Lawn this year. I thought those pages of my life had already been written. But life is full of unexpected turns, and it is about how you deal with each one. This trimester has been more valuable than it may have been in person. We have learned to deal with the unexpected and make the best despite difficult situations. But even through online school, I like to think our community has grown stronger through this experience. It has put things in a new perspective, one where we miss and value our friends, teachers, our beautiful campus, and in-person interactions. Try to keep that in mind as we move on from this experience, and may we grow from it.
Thank you, Taylor. You'd think with a name like Zorman, you'd be hearing from me last, but here I am. If you can recall back to the start of the year, Taylor and I asked you to go out and to try new things. The class of 2020 is the most capable, dynamic, and forward-thinking group of people I can say I'm a part of. Right now, as we step into a future filled with unknowns, it can be easy to become rigid and to fall into distress. Many of us are leaving roles and titles that we worked hard for and have become comfortable filling. We've had the comfort to develop our character, our ethics, and fulfill our responsibilities while nestled safely on the top of a hill in Saxon's River, surrounded by miles of rolling green mountains and an unfaltering supply of people to support us. We are forever to be determined by our actions, and like those before us, we must stay strong together and emerge into a world that we are proud to call our own. Thank you and congratulations to the Vermont Academy class of 2020. In separate news, we are also thrilled to announce that we are planning on donating a gift to VA with our senior class funds, next to the Salutatorian, Hannah Sethi. And congratulations.
Hi, everyone. First, I miss you all. A pat on the back for us. We made it. We graduated. I know that this graduation isn't quite what we had imagined, and it doesn't feel so surreal when you're sitting in your backyard in sweatpants. But it makes me a lot happier to know that the years we spent at VA more than make up for it. Since day one, the class of 2020 has been special. I can think of countless times these people have made me laugh, cry, or want to pull my hair up similar. I'm sure that our teachers can. It truly has been a magic day. With so much free time, I've recently been struck by the realization that high school was some of the best days of my life. My fond memories to hold on to when I'm older. Even more than that, it's hit me that graduating is one of our biggest accomplishments yet. It is the culmination of years of hard work, fun, and endless craziness. For parents, coaches, teachers, and others that have helped us along this journey, thank you. We needed it. Graduates, I'm so proud of each and every one of us. I know that we will carry our time at VA with us as we go on to do great things. Now I'd like to introduce our Salutatorian, Sarah Annis.
Thank you, Hannah. Where we're going, you won't need any pants. I used to laugh at this line a lot from Avatar: The Last Airbender when I was younger. In the show, it just refers to going swimming, and I used to think it would never apply to me outside of that context. But then COVID hit, and soon pants indeed became irrelevant. We showcased a wider range of pajamas over Zoom from bedrooms, living rooms, and kitchens, which replaced dress code and fuller as our learning environment of choice. In some ways, it was a welcome respite from the long days we were accustomed to at VA, since you didn't have to hike up 3 flights of stairs to get to math class. I'd be the first to admit that I've enjoyed the Zoom Academy lifestyle just a little bit. Many of my teachers and peers adapted incredibly well to the new format and put in more effort to make sure that we were making the most of online learning, even though we couldn't be together in person. Every day for the last 2 months, I've been thankful that at least we're receiving quality online education at a time when students worldwide have lost access to a vital part of their lives. Though it hasn't been the spring we wanted, there's been some good to come out of this pandemic. People everywhere have gotten a lot better at personal hygiene, have learned how to bake, and have started seeing grocery shopping as either one of the most freeing experiences ever or incredibly awful. These, of course, are all things that you also learn at VA. You'd be hard-pressed to find any student who hasn't gone to the market just to get off campus, heard a dorm parent sit someone down and explain that they do need to clean their room, or been rather jealous of the smells of fresh bread emanating from multiple kitchens on campus and wanted to try baking as a result. It took a pandemic for most people to learn these things, but we've been lucky enough just to do it in school. Since this is still graduation, I'll end with a few thank yous. Thank you to our teachers, who still managed to teach us despite some disruptions, whether it was Wi-Fi or their children. Thank you to our families, who put up with all of our "but I'm in class" excuses and supported us both on campus and at home. And thank you to everyone doing their part to stop the spread of COVID. It'll be thanks to you if we can go to our respective campuses this fall. And now I'd like to introduce Meredith Friel, who will be presenting the Anime D. Fenny Medals.
Thank you, Sarah. Anime D. Fenny Medals are awarded annually to those students who maintain a cumulative grade point average of at least 3.67 and who have achieved high honors for each trimester during the 2019-2020 academic year. Here they are: Sarah Annis, Tiani Christine Tsai, Charles Olivier Gagnon, Taylor Henham, Christina Kaltunkova, Jutsia Edward Liang, Meow Jerry Lin, Logan McAllister, Savannah Moyes, Emma Ostagai, Alexandra Palutsek, Zenyu Kano Tsi, Bijan Sidhu, Jasmine Servance, Hannah Sethi, Gabriella Trinquata, Yuxiang Peter Zhao, and Gabrielle Gigi Wood. I'd now like to introduce Miss Sarah Baldwins.
Hello, everyone. I have the privilege today to award the Grant V. Fraser Award. The Academy endowed this award given to that student who best exemplifies this teacher's own dignified humility, quiet strength, and constant drive towards excellence. Jisha Edward Liang epitomizes excellence in everything he does. From his impeccable dress to his classroom success, Edward is an unstoppable force. Edward and I started our journey together his freshman year in Algebra 2. This year, he graduates having completed an independent study in multivariable calculus. The math department chair, Russell Mayhew, says that this class only works for the most disciplined and determined students. Mr. Mayhew says that Edward takes great pride in a job well done, but is not so proud that he is unwilling to ask for help. Edward is ambitious and driven, but prideful he is not. His humble nature is exemplified in his participation with our robotics team. Edward quietly played key roles in ensuring the VA Wildcats made it to the state finals, but not one to boast, he always acknowledged the team efforts before his own. Edward's constant drive towards excellence and humility make him a perfect candidate for this award, but I believe that Edward's strength is where he truly shines. Edward's strength is quiet and easily missed, for it is the strength of his character. His never-ending pursuit to be true to himself at an age where peer pressure is at its peak. I have never seen Edward be anything but authentically him. If his principles required him to take the road less traveled, he will blaze that path without hesitation or compromise. While Edward has always remained true to his core self, he also has been patient with us as we have forced him out of his comfort zone. Edward, every time I asked you to stand in front of class to explain a problem, or I forced you to play games in advisory, I knew it went against your quiet and serious nature. Thank you for handling every challenge Vermont Academy presented you with humility, poise, and respect. Congratulations, Edward, you deserve this recognition. I would now like to welcome Mrs. Joanne Fuller to give the Charles Jackson Award.
Thank you, Sarah. The Charles Jackson Award is presented to a senior who has contributed substantially to the life of the Academy in areas such as performing arts or journalism, and who has been a loyal, concerned member of the Academy. 4 years ago, this quiet young student named Corey Dunn decided to try something new. He played Emmanuel Goldstein in our production of 1984, appearing only on screen in brief, scratchy dystopian snatches. It was a safe role for a newcomer to the stage. The following year, he was a dead ancestor in The Addams Family, another safe place to be, a literal ghost on stage. But in the next trimester, he found himself center stage as a semi-finalist in Poetry Out Loud. He was terrified, like many of you who have been in his shoes, and he didn't want to do it. He was so nervous about speaking on stage that I worried about repercussions from his parents if I pushed him. I forced him anyway and watched his father watch him as the student humbly took the stage, shoulders slumped, hoping to disappear. He began with a sigh. When you were old and gray and full of sleep, and I believed every word that followed, that he was a tired soul near the end. His poetry recitation was the highest scoring of the night. His junior year, he played the shrinking man holding on to hope in Almost Maine, and the jilted cyber lover in Begets. This year, we saw him as the personification of the Amazon Superstore, and for much of the year, he labored with his potential one-man show. He has been a 4-year member of the vocal ensemble, and this year, he put aside his cross-country skis to try dance for the first time. He has been loyal and curious in his pursuit of the performing arts. The bigger the challenge, the more he dug in. For example, because his role in Begets was his first principal, he memorized all of his lines over March break while on a service learning trip to Belize. He began his rehearsals off book. Corey creates characters that make us laugh, cry, and remember. In dance, he takes risks, committing to expressive movements and becoming fearlessly vulnerable on stage. In voice, he practices and listens, working towards harmonies and building his range. As we have enjoyed his performance over the past 4 years, he has learned a great deal about himself and what he has to offer. Corey's accomplishments on his personal journey and the self-confidence he's developed over the past 4 years are worthy of praise and recognition. The winner of this year's Charles Jackson Award is Corey Dunn. Congratulations, Corey. I would now like to welcome Christine Arminger to speak.
Hey, Joe. The Bernice B. and Olin D. Gay Award is presented each year to a student who personifies the qualities of friendliness, cooperation, kindness, and a concern for his or her fellow individual that should not be allowed to pass unnoticed. It is literally impossible not to smile and light up when someone mentions this year's recipient. With no trace of hyperbole, I will tell you that Mal-Lin, or Jerry, as we've all come to know him at Vermont Academy, is the absolute kindest, most caring, most thoughtful young man I, and probably most of us, have ever met. If there are angels living among us, Jerry Lynn is one of them. As Miss Friel put it, teaching Jerry is like teaching the smartest, most hardworking beam of light. Regardless of the situation, he uses his energy to lift his classmates up. I will miss seeing him bop up and down the long walk, smiling every step of the way. Mr. Satskov, who coached Jerry all 4 years, described him as the most reliable, caring team member, always volunteering to help a struggler on the running course or on the ski track, always coming up with just the right words for someone who's been having a hard time emotionally or getting along with teammates. Jerry doesn't need to be asked about giving a hand to others. It's just in his nature. And while this award is not about achievement, as Jerry's 4-year advisor, I've observed him being all of these amazing things while unfailingly earning straight A's and commendable effort marks in the highest level classes, while engaging in campus citizenship that has earned him a place in both the National Honor Society and the Cum Laude Society. And during one of our last advisory meetings, as our group voted on the senior superlatives, every member of our little pack nominated Jerry as most likely to succeed. He just blushed and kept on with the Jenga game we were playing in my living room. And I took a sip of my tea and smiled and thought to myself, it's so true. Jerry is and always will be successful because he is kind and he is grateful for every precious person and every precious second of his life. Jerry Lynn is grateful. And when he is around, it is impossible not to want to be a better person yourself. So please help me congratulate Jerry Lynn for this award. And I would now like to invite Ms. Jill Seaton to present the Larry Smith Award.
Thank you, Ms. Arminger, and congratulations, Jerry. The purpose of the Larry Smith Award is to recognize in a member of the senior class the traits of cheerfulness, acceptance of responsibility, and wholehearted devotion to a job to be done, which were characteristic of Larry Smith. Larry always did a quiet but superlatively efficient work behind the scenes to help others and to contribute to the life of the school. Alex Palushek arrived on campus at the beginning of her sophomore year, ready to be a powerful, positive influence on our school culture. During the first week of classes, on my first night on duty as a dorm parent and stewardess, Alex asked if I would advise a club she wanted to start. Soon after, Alex and her roommate recruited for Pie Club during a legendary community meeting presentation. And for 3 years, our Sunday meetings have become a safe haven for quirky VA students who aren't sure where they fit in. At an age where it's not cool to be enthusiastic about things, Alex has helped create a place to be creative, thoughtful, silly, and relaxed. Alex's leadership has carried on to the first floor of West Hill as a trusted proctor, crew team, Write Club, and the National Honor Society, of which she is co-president. She is a writing center tutor and literary magazine editor. In each of these endeavors, Alex is an enthusiastic leader and mentor. She doesn't do anything halfway, not even Winter Carnival. Alex plays to win, organizing and pumping up her dorm for each competitive event. She is confident and determined, but always kind and looking to see that everyone is included. Whether completing an ambitious capstone, supporting a struggling friend, or playing the lead role in the spring play, Alex is thoughtful, helpful, reliable, and consistently vulnerable in her wholehearted devotion in a job to be done. And like the true leader she is, Alex is committed to a vision of an ever better Vermont Academy, even if those changes she sets in motion occur long after she has received her diploma. I know Alex will continue to use her voice and tenacity to bring people together and launch fantastic projects at Trinity. Congratulations, Alex. I now invite Mr. Joey Chanis to the stage to present the Robert L. Long Leadership and Service Award.
I would like to just start by saying, well done, Alex, and thanks, Jillian. The Robert L. Long Leadership and Service Award is endowed in honor of Robert L. Long, a former Vermont Academy headmaster. This award is given to a senior whose leadership and service to Vermont Academy has earned our respect and gratitude. I was a student at Vermont Academy while Mr. Long was the assistant head of school. I learned much about leadership and service while at Vermont Academy from him and others like Jim Fry and Bob Harrington. One of the things I learned is that a good leader leads in such a way that others follow without even knowing they're following. A good leader often does so out of service to something larger than themselves. These two seemingly separate terms of leadership and service can be expressed with one word: stewardship. Stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. And it is this term that best describes this year's recipient. Remember, stewardship. This recipient always treated everyone and everything as if they were entrusted in her care. From the classroom through sports and activities, and even in the dining hall, she was always positive and an ever-present leader, demonstrating respect and service for both for and with others. This person found ways to dive into her often chaotic and varied interests while making everyone feel as though this one thing she was doing now was the best ever. Lauren Eppinger is passionate about almost everything. She has touched and affected so many of our lives through making everyone feel welcomed and worthy. She has led us all to become better through her example of not placing one group or thing above all. Her passions are as vast as they are infectious and inspire others to try new things. From her capstone work on environmental issues through the lens of a children's book, being ever present at Current Hatton events, Pie Club, and even in creating a week-long summer design camp for girls. These are all her call to service for us all. She is a steward to all that is Vermont Academy. Congratulations, Lauren. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Jennifer Sakara, who will be presenting the Head of School Awards.
Thank you, Mr. Chanis. Good morning, and before I present the Head of School Awards, and there are 2 this year, I want you to know that I have drawn on the words of advisors and faculty, because capturing their voices as I describe the award recipients is so important and the right thing to do. As we all turn toward next steps, the future is a main topic of conversation. But this student's advisor said that she would change the subject if the future came up when she was a freshman at Vermont Academy. As her career developed at Vermont Academy, she found that one of her passions was stretching beyond what she thought she could achieve. Taking difficult classes, writing, debating, and taking the case of the underdog. She's maintained a 4.0 average for 4 years and has been the recipient of the Annie Mae Fenney Award and the Wellesley Book Prize. Her advisor said she's the kind of student who makes teachers over-prepare for class because she would be coming in with a lot of great questions. She's played 3 varsity sports for 4 years and served as captain. And her persistence and consistency and drive are examples to be admired and respected. Serving as a proctor for the last 2 years and secretary of her class, she spoke several times in front of the board, informing them of student life on campus and answering many questions from our board made up of alumni, friends of the school, and parents. Her plan is to study law. It's my honor to give the Head of School Award to Gigi Wood. Now for the second recipient. When this 4-year student arrived at Vermont Academy, he wore starched polo shirts every day, sat up straight, and worked hard to impress his teachers. After reading his letter to himself from freshman year, part of our traditions for 4-year seniors, he lamented that he lost his competitive edge. Yet in fact, he's grown into and embraced who he is and never faltered in achievements. He goes from discussing his capstone, for which he built a computer and tried to work with algorithms and determine data for agricultural productivity, to advanced art, where he can't quite pick a medium, to robotics, to moonlighting on the stage as a dancer and actor and lover of the spotlight. He also won gold at the Vermont Science Fair last winter, where he showcased his work during his internship at Johns Hopkins. He says he does not identify as an athlete, but he's biked more miles for Cycle for the Cause, ran hills for cross country, and rode in the serenity of the Connecticut River every spring on the crew team. He started Vermont Academy as a student with a uniform and a passion for profits and the bottom line. And he's graduating as someone filled with joy, light, crazy intellect, and crazier dance moves. With his passion for coding and algorithms and his desire to make an impact for others, we will all be eager to see what path he will pursue. It is my honor to present the Head of School Award to Siyang Wong. And now I'm going to pass the podium to Christy Katsos, who will give the Ford Improvement Prize.
Hello, everyone. The Ford Improvement Prize is presented by Daniel Ford to recognize that student in the senior class who has not only contributed to the success of school activities, but has also won the respect of his or her teachers and peers through notable progress and improvement in scholastic activity. This year's recipient is Jeff Simon. It has been an honor to witness Jeff's growth over the past 3 years at VA and to see him transform into a leader in the classroom, in athletics, and in the community at large. When Jeff first arrived at VA, he wasn't certain that it was the place for him, and it was a year with some ups and downs. Since then, he has found his place and an understanding of himself. Perhaps Jeff's most obvious transformation was on the ice. None of us who were there will ever forget seeing Jeff score the first goal of the boys' varsity hockey season this year in his first season on the varsity team. Sure to be a memorable moment when we look back at this school year, decades to come. But though slightly less publicly, Jeff also experienced equally strong growth as a scholar. As a senior, he chose a class schedule tailored to his interests and learning style. His year was not without academic challenge, but when things got tough, he balanced his priorities, used good coping skills, asked for help, and stayed true to himself. Most importantly, Jeff has grown in confidence and self-assurance. He is a loyal friend and strong role model for his peers. Jeff Simon is a true Vermont Academy success story. I'm so proud of his growth, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Congratulations, Jeff. And now I'd like to turn things over to our next presenter, Karen Henry.
Thanks, Christy. Good morning and congratulations, class of 2020. Very proud of you. I get to present the Shanneman Cup this morning, and it goes to a member of the senior class who, by his or her loyalty, diligence, and devotion to the best interests of the school, has exemplified and upheld the ideals and traditions of Vermont Academy. All right, 4-year senior, day student proctor, tour guide extraordinaire, AP and honors level student, 3-sport varsity athlete, 5-time NEPSAC champion, and 1-time NEPSAC player of the year. She is a scholar, she is an athlete, and she is a champion. But most importantly, she's a really great kid. She is Ella Bushy. Ella is everything I love about Vermont Academy. She is a quiet and humble leader. She doesn't brag or boast. She doesn't seek attention or the spotlight. She is kind and caring, but tough and gritty. She does anything that is asked of her, and always with a smile. She has a quiet confidence. She knows how good she is, but she'll never tell you. She will simply work harder than anyone else and let that speak for itself. Like most journeys, for this graduate, it hasn't always been easy. For all of the laughs, there have been tears. For every win, there have been losses. However, through it all, Ella keeps one thing at the center of the equation: the success and happiness of her community. Ella wants people to succeed, and she will willingly do her part to ensure they do. Ella makes the people around her better, but she makes no demands. She merely asks for your very best. And for the last 4 years, Ella has given Vermont Academy her very best. On the field, on the court, or in the classroom, Ella has demonstrated that her heart belongs to VA. Ella, I know how grateful you are for what Vermont Academy has done for you, but I hope with this award, you leave knowing how grateful we are for all you have done for us. Please help me congratulate this year's Shanneman Cup winner, Ella Bushy. I see you, Ella. It is my pleasure to now introduce my friend, Nate Williams, who will present the Barrett Medal.
Thank you, Karen Henry. And I want to start with saying congratulations to class 2020. You did it. So proud. Keep going. The Barrett Medal is awarded annually to a member of the graduating class for all-around achievement in citizenship, scholarship, and athletics. It is the Academy's highest award. Each year, the faculty selects one student for this special award. Doing so is a great deal of fun because the recipient and all candidates are such remarkable young people. There we are, looking straight up at a cliff of solid granite. I say with trepidation, I'm not sure about this. He replies with a smile, I can do this, Mr. Williams. 500 vertical feet later, hanging on the rock face, above, a challenging overhang to climb through. I say, looks tough up ahead, turn back. He takes a breath, smiles, and reassures me, I believe in us, Mr. Williams. With silent grace, he climbs up and out of sight. This is the moment. Tears well up. As a teacher, it goes without saying that you want students to achieve their goals, define their own success, and develop into confident young adults who will give back. It's safe to say that Taylor checks these boxes. His growth trajectory is like that rock face, heading straight up. His VA career is decorated with honors and achievements, culminating with an inspiring year leading the student body as co-president. His love for VA is tremendous. Students and teachers agree that Taylor makes whatever class, club, or team he is a part of better. Spend a week on the long trail with Taylor. By the end, you will be a better person. What brought tears to my eyes that day on the rock face was what Taylor has taught us. Pardon. What you give to the world is what you get back. Until that day on the rock face, I was under the impression that I was coaching Taylor. I couldn't have been more wrong. Thank you, Taylor, for being my teacher, for fully embodying our school's motto, be true to your best self. The purity of your drive, your humility, and your joy is an inspiration to us all. For this and oh so much more, Vermont Academy is awarding you the Barrett Medal. Congratulations, Taylor Henham. And I will turn it to the incredible 12th grade class dean, Meredith Friel.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, and congratulations to all the recipients of these fantastic awards. Since we are unable, give me 1 second. Since we are unable to physically present diplomas, we would like to now recognize each member of the graduating class. Each year, a few students receive diplomas with distinction in particular subject areas. To earn distinction, a student must have grades of B+ or higher in 2 or more courses studied in that area. One of the courses must have been taken in their senior year. Margaret Sarah Adams, National Honor Society, cum laude with distinction in visual arts. Yungnam An. Sarah Joanna Annis, National Honor Society, cum laude with distinction in English, science, math, and history. Andres Barrero Perez. Juan Barrios Gonzalez with distinction in science. Reese Robert Bianco. Cameron Parker Brinker Cohen. Aaron Brown with distinction in English. Ella Dawn Bushy. Tiani Tsai, cum laude with distinction in science and math. Andrew Thomas Christos. Jacob P. Cook. Jacob Copeland. Corey Besky Dunn. Lauren G. Eppinger, National Honor Society, cum laude with distinction in science. Shengzi Feng. Cameron Ray Filone. Charles Andrew Fritz. Charles Olivier Gagnon, National Honor Society with distinction in science and math. Lauren Faith Gall, National Honor Society. Taylor Drew Henham, National Honor Society, cum laude. Darwin Maxwell Holcomb with distinction in visual arts. Shengqin Huang with distinction in visual arts. Clara Yandusikova. Devon Johnson. Kaylin Jones. Cedar Henri Jones. Christina Kaltunkova. Miles S. Kaplan, National Honor Society. Caroline Alice Keller, National Honor Society with distinction in visual arts. Zhixia Liang, cum laude with distinction in science, math, and history. Miao Lin, National Honor Society, cum laude with distinction in English, science, and history. Jordan Rose Loya. Elizabeth C. Maddie. Logan G. McAllister with distinction in English, science, math, and history. Savannah J. Moyes. Hugo Robert Jan Neabor. Emma L. Ostagai, National Honor Society with distinction in world languages. Alexandra Marie Palutzek, National Honor Society, cum laude with distinction in English, World Languages, Science, Visual Arts, and History. Andrew Joseph Peloso. Marguerite P. Payton. Caroline B. Plyler. Zhenyu Qi. Sarah E. Robinson, National Honor Society with distinction in Visual Arts. Sydney Elizabeth Rogers. Evan Robert Sanders. Jose Marcelo Santana Mozo. Jasmine Monet Cervants. Hannah Rose Sethi, National Honor Society, cum laude with distinction in English, World Languages, Science, and Math. Bijan Sidhu, with distinction in History. Jeffrey Mark Simon. Gabriella Celeste Tranquata, with distinction in Science. Xiang Wang, National Honor Society, cum laude, with distinction in Science, Visual Arts, Math, and History. Bodie Q. Weber. Audrey C. Wilson. Gabrielle Grace Wood, National Honor Society, cum laude, with distinction in English, Math, and History. Chen Zadik. Yuxiang Zhao, cum laude, with distinction in Math and World Languages. Evan R. Zorman, National Honor Society, cum laude, with distinction in World Languages and History. Congratulations to the class of 2020. I'd now like to introduce our head of school, Dr. Jennifer Zakara.
Before I say a few closing words, I wanted to present the class. So seniors, get ready with your tassels. I now present to you the class of 2020. Seniors, move your tassels from the right to the left on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make some closing remarks for the day. I woke up this morning thinking about all of our students and seeing quite vivid images of what they would probably like to do now or to remember. Here are some of those images. I see an absolutely packed statistics class in Fuller 102 and hear the booming voice of Mr. Mayhew coaching multiple levels of students to push themselves and try this new problem he's presenting. I imagine Mrs. Fry's French class asking her to have tea under the trees in the pine grove on South Lawn, happily chatting in French about the fine day and how much they'll miss her. I see students packing into Ms. Baldwin's apartment to watch a homebrewed experiment and then settle down for a board game and something she baked. I hear the jamming in the lower level of Shep as Mr. Cady encourages the musicians to have the courage to let themselves soar and perform their own riffs in the next jazz performance. I see lawn chairs on Long Walk and boom boxes and Frisbee and cookouts with Mr. Ross and his team. I see us watching lacrosse games in the nippy air and hoping that it won't rain so the fields will hold. I see Pie Club members whipping up another pie and playing with Sistine. I see Mr. Birch working with students in the pottery studio and Mr. Burmester coaching students in the last play or working up in the tech area like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, making each community meeting a multimedia event. I see Ms. Field walking around campus with Ms. Poole and Finley, making that great virtual tour of VA and then pouring her heart into the final Morning Mist video with that chanting song Tomorrow in the face of every student, lovingly captured forever. I wish that I could wave my arms like the sorcerer and the sorcerer's apprentice and make it all so. This has been a time when you might have felt powerless and frustrated to have to surrender to rules of isolation and limited engagement. Yet you are powerful. You're waiting in a different way than you would have been if you were celebrating the traditions of spring at Vermont Academy, but waiting nonetheless. This is a time of waiting, and it's exciting and totally unknown for every graduate here and all around the world, and every year for as long as students have studied. We have a graduate at Oxford University, and her school, Magdalen College, started in 1458, created by William of Waynflete. Just to put that in perspective, that was before the Canterbury Tales and Chaucer, when Leonardo da Vinci was a boy and Galileo was not yet born. Liberal arts education launched in the Renaissance a long time ago, but the students who stood between grammar school, as they called it, and university in that summer, as you are now, were waiting and anticipating just as you are. And they too had a smoldering power. This moment in your life connects you with all past graduates poised on the edge of the unknown. What will happen next year and the next 4? What and who will you love? What friends will you meet, and will they be as close to you as your friends from Vermont Academy? So many questions, so many unknowns, so much waiting over the summer. Yet then it's all over and you plunge forward in the best kind of intellectual freedom. You might be feeling a great desire to change things while at the same time being a bit unwilling to embrace change itself. At this moment in your life, you're the most open to change though. As we get older, we're less flexible, less willing to change what we know in our own everyday lives, even if we want the world to change around us. Each of you has so much power right now, though you may not know it. Your fresh perspectives, your dedication, your unfailing work ethic and focus could do so much good. Start small though. Think of your campus, your neighborhood, impacts on a local level before you take on larger issues. That's the place to learn and to affect people's lives in lasting ways. You do not have to go far to find need and purpose. Sometimes we see the larger issues, but not the pressing needs in our own backyard. Build relationships and networks with people in your life who challenge you. Do not seek out like-minded friends only. The more that you have friends with different passions and beliefs, the more you'll flex your own thinking and understanding. Recently, I heard Ananda Giridharadas, host of Vice TV's show, Seat at the Table. He had many things to say about billionaires who are helping in the time of crisis right now. To quote him, "The way the pandemic has unfolded in America is inseparable from that discrediting, defanging, and defunding of government. So when I see the very same class of people stepping up, I see arsonists returning to the scene of a fire and putting on a costume and claiming to be firefighters. In many ways, what they're doing is trying to buy mercy on the cheap, so we don't actually fix this society in a way that reduces their power and makes us not so vulnerable the next time a pandemic like this or something else rolls around." Now imagine Ananda in a room with Steve Bannon, former executive of Breitbart News and White House chief strategist for President Trump, early on in his leadership. Bannon believes in reducing what he calls the size of the administrative state and having states rather than the federal government manage things. There's a long history of American political thought that supports that view, and he's a very intelligent man. Ananda and Stephen would have a lively conversation. That is, if they allowed themselves to have one. Of course, this is a nightmare of a conversation that I'm proposing you to imagine, and I would not wish it on you, but I went to extremes to make a point. If you want change and progress in the world, you have to sit in those rooms and listen and work with those who oppose your views. It's super hard work. It taxes your patience. You can start in college by listening to those with different views and practice your conflict resolution and negotiation. But that's only if you want to better the world. And I hope you do. Remember, if you have not heard a new idea in a while, it could be because you're doing all the talking. So much of your life as a thinker started here at Vermont Academy. You will find that growing from an adolescent into an adult is an experience of winnowing out competing voices in favor of composing your own song. Yet I'll return to the jazz I referenced earlier. The more that you can have a variety of motifs in your brain, the more you will develop into a true citizen of the world. The life of the mind, if it's to be a lifelong vocation, means you must learn to riff and to listen, to jam and to harmonize. The final wish I have for you is to keep your hearts open. Keep your minds fiercely dedicated to multiple perceptions and views. Keep your fellow human beings in mind so that your challenges and hopes and dreams do not fill the room so much that you cannot see those who need you most. We at Vermont Academy have loved watching you grow and flourish into the young adults you are today. The truth is, you are powerful, but you must know that you are before you can use power for good. Goodbye from the land where you have to stop your car on the road for wild turkeys to pass, where you see a fox make a quick glance to the left and run off as you approach the chicken coop, where you walk out of the great room in a night of studying to look up to a sea of the brightest stars ever, in a place where a head of school stands at the top of the hill, peering into the village, looking for her wandering pups, and two neighborhood boys on bikes stop and say, "We saw your red pups run over the bridge toward Westminster West, and lady, those dogs are gone." And I believed them. Congratulations to the class of 2020 and to your families. Come back to Vermont Academy often. We'll be waiting with a cup of tea on the lawn, ready to hear about your hopes and dreams. Thank you. And this concludes Vermont Academy's graduation 2020. My thanks to all.
I'm not